Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Chapter 38. The moral weapon. Everyone immediately turned around. The fire door thudded under the relentless pounding of the zombies outside. Several shriveled fingers clawed desperately through the gaps in the door. Mr. Doji's face turned stern as he scolded Kouta harshly. Why are you screaming like that? Isn't the door blocked? Where's your composure as an adult? Kouta's face went pale and flushed, but he didn't dare argue. After all, not everyone truly grasped the severity of this disaster. According to the news and official broadcasts, this outbreak was only temporary and would soon be brought under control. Order would eventually return. The manager was still the manager, and both Yoma-ida and Kouta were still the lowest-level corporate drones. Otherwise, Yoma wouldn't have risked his life earlier for a slim chance at promotion. Kouta, go check if the plank blocking the door is secure. The pounding on the fire door made Mr. Doji's heart race. He couldn't shake the growing sense of unease. But Kouta kept shaking his head, nearly crying. Manager, I can't do it. My legs turn to jelly the moment I see those monsters. Useless. Mr. Doji glared at him in frustration, then turned to Yoma-ida. Yoma, you go. That's an order, no need to check. If the zombies don't leave the door, it won't matter how sturdy the plank is. It won't hold for long. Sosuke Kitahara stepped into a nearby break room, opened the window, and glanced down. Turning back, he asked, do you have a rope? And something that makes a loud noise, preferably something really loud. Mr. Doji's brows furrowed, visibly displeased by being interrupted by a teenager who didn't even bother to speak politely. Everyone else always spoke to him with respectful deference, yet this 16 or 17-year-old brat showed him none. Still, as someone who held a management position for over a decade, Mr. Doji knew how to assess the situation. With zombies howling right outside the door, he wisely refrained from showing his anger and decided to see what Sosuke had planned. Go to the storage room and find him a rope. Also, grab the alarm clock from Secretary Ito's desk, he instructed his 2 subordinates. Yes, manager. The 2 quickly nodded and split up to search. Within minutes, they returned with a rope over 6 meters long and a cute, pink alarm clock. Sosuke, what's your plan? Kasumijoka Yuta asked as she handed him the items, her expression filled with concern. Sosuke leaned against the windowsill, caught her worried gaze, and chuckled. You didn't really think I was going to climb down and use myself as live bait, did you? I'm not that selfless. Besides, we're so high up, if this rope snaps halfway, I'd burn through all my lives in an instant. Then what are you? The window below is open, and the curtains fluttering outside. If I'm not wrong, the floor beneath us is probably a large room. Sosuke tied the alarm clock securely to the rope, making sure the knot wouldn't slip, then set the alarm. Yuta, keep an eye on the door. Let me know immediately if the zombies start to leave. Okay. Yuta gently nodded, already guessing Sosuke's plan. She didn't know if it would work, but anything was better than sitting around waiting to die. Sosuke lowered the rope, positioning the alarm clock level with the window below. Within a minute, the crisp ringing echoed upward, its sound bouncing up the stairwell, clear proof that the window below was indeed open. About 5 minutes later, Yuta came running back, unable to contain her excitement. Sosuke, it worked. I heard thuds and stumbling sounds in the stairwell. The zombies are following the sound down. Sosuke wiped the sweat from his brow. The nerve-wracking tension finally loosened a little. Though he had appeared to handle multiple dangerous situations with ease, only Sosuke knew how drained he was. If the zombies had broken in earlier, he wouldn't have been able to withstand another intense battle. He lowered the rope another floor, stretching the 6-meter rope to its limit. When he finally saw a filthy zombie hand reaching out from the window below, trying to grab the alarm clock, he let go, allowing the still ringing alarm clock to fall straight down. There was no need to worry after that. Dropping from over 20 stories, the noisy alarm clock would soon be shattered. Sosuke approached the fire door. A stubborn zombie was still wedging its face into the door gap, its blood-smeared teeth gnashing as it tried to squeeze through. What greeted it was the flash of a sharp blade. That kid's weapon looks pretty decent. Mr. Doji's eyes gleamed as he quickly calculated. With the police nowhere in sight and all communications down, their only weapons were a few titanium golf clubs, not nearly enough. If he could get his hands on that blade. Mr. Doji's heart pounded. He glanced at his group and swiftly assessed their combined strength. The boy had a weapon but was alone. Mr. Doji, on the other hand, had 6 men. 2 of them, Kota and young Maeda, were his direct subordinates and would obey him unconditionally. The other 2, while not his direct reports, also worked in the same company under him. They likely wouldn't side with strangers over their superior. Even if they didn't help, they wouldn't interfere. The last 2, one a hotel staff member, the other a college student visiting Tokyo, were probably unconnected to anyone here. With superior numbers and a bit of manipulation, he was confident the boy would eventually have no choice but to hand over his weapon. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. But as a longtime manager, he was adept at masking his emotions. Wearing a benevolent smile, Mr. Doji approached with a kind, almost fatherly tone. "Thank you, all of you. It must have taken a lot of effort and courage to make it up here." Sosuke didn't respond. He slowly sat down on the floor, too exhausted to bother with pleasantries. Closing his eyes, he focused on his breathing technique to recover as quickly as possible. Utaha stepped in, casually replying, "Oh, we're fine. It was a close call, but no big deal." Mr. Doji's smile faltered at their cold response. His gaze swept over the 3 women before focusing on the resting Sosuke Kitahara. "Well then, you've all seen those zombies firsthand. I don't need to explain what happens if you get bitten. Since you've joined us here, for everyone's safety and for everyone's peace of mind, I hope you'll allow us to inspect you for bite marks." "You want to inspect our bodies?" Haruno Yukino-shida, who had remained silent until now, suddenly flashed a seductive smile. Her sister Yukino knew immediately this was Haruno's dangerous smile. She was truly angry now. No, you misunderstand." Mr. Doji hurriedly waved his hands, stamping his foot in frustration. "I should have explained better. We only need to check the boy. The inspection for you 3 ladies can be done by the women on our side. Is that acceptable?" It was a reasonable request. They weren't the only ones on his floor, and they didn't expect the others to have bad intentions. Still, by habit, all 3 girls turned to Sosuke Kitahara, waiting for his decision. Sosuke slowly opened his eyes and calmly said, "I wasn't bitten. The blood on me is from the zombies. That's not for you to decide." Mr. Doji smiled and shook his head. "Put yourself in our shoes. If you saw someone covered in blood, wouldn't you be worried too?" The other survivors flinched, fear making them hypersensitive. "Yeah, it's just a quick check. It's not like we're going to do anything to you. Come on, kid. Don't be difficult. Think about everyone else here. If you won't let us check, you can't stay here. Or tie yourself up, so you don't turn into a zombie and hurt us." It was as if they'd rehearsed it. One after another, they spoke up, their faces filled with varying degrees of suspicion. "You hear that? That's what everyone wants," Mr. Doji said, his tone now laced with threat. "I'll let the issue with the barricade slide. You're not a child anymore. You should learn to think about others. After all, upsetting everyone here won't do you any favors." He extended his hand. "Hand me your blade. I'll keep it safe for you. If you're clean, I'll give it back later." "Oh, you like the story? Wow, who knew? Go ahead, drop a review and throw some power stones. Maybe I'll be motivated to keep going. The story's already ahead on Patreon. Go there if you want to catch up faster. patreon.com/_Thean change at to a comment for comment vote. Chapter 39, Toji, die. Sosuke Kitahara had never considered himself someone with a good temper. In the apocalypse, patience was useless. What mattered was strength, courage, and the will to kill, grasping even the tiniest chance to survive, even in the face of certain death. The weak would inevitably be eliminated. But now, a fat, arrogant man actually dared to threaten him. "So, you've got your eyes on this blade." Sosuke narrowed his eyes. A cold, murderous intent surged within him as he slowly stood up, the sound of his katana being drawn echoing crisply through the room. He gripped the hilt and sneered. "And what if I say no?" Mr. Doji's face twisted in fury. He had been a manager for over a decade. No one had ever dared to speak to him like this. If President Akasaka had spoken to him this way, he could endure it. After all, that was a man who controlled his fate. But this... some random brat dared to stand up to him? And this was Akasaka Corporation property. He was the highest-ranking person here. How could he not be furious? Still, even in his rage, he didn't lose his composure. He would never lower himself to fight someone like Sosuke personally. The kid had a weapon. Besides, Brawling wasn't something someone of his status would do. As someone of power, he would handle this in the way people of power did. Just as Mr. Toji was about to order his subordinates to act, he suddenly realized someone was missing. He frowned and asked, "Kota, where's Yoma? I don't see him." Kota stammered. Yoma said his stomach hurt. He just ran to the restroom. Why would he pick this moment of all times? Mr. Toji scowled, then loudly addressed everyone behind him. "This kid refuses to let us inspect him. That proves he's guilty. Look at him covered in blood. He was probably bitten long ago. It's only a matter of time before he turns. For everyone's safety, I'm asking you men to help me restrain him." "That's nonsense. Sosuke wasn't bitten." Yukino Shita stood up angrily. Ever since she'd been pushed and fallen, Sosuke had been by her side the entire time. With his skills, it was impossible for him to have been bitten. "So, you're trying to pick a fight?" Kasumijoka Utaha tightened her grip on the bat, her expression turning cold. Haruno Yukino Shita frowned but subtly stepped to Sosuke's side, a clear declaration of her stance. "Whether he was bitten or not isn't up to you to decide." Mr. Toji sneered and turned to the rest of the group. "What are you all waiting for? Do you want to wait until he turns into a zombie? I'll tell you this, my rescue helicopter will be here in the next few days. Whoever helps me right now will get a spot on it and leave this hell." The bystanders, who had previously shown no reaction, suddenly lit up at the chance to escape. One by one, they stepped forward. Even several women who had been watching from the sidelines joined in. People feared zombies because of the unknown. But the four standing in front of them were just high schoolers. How could they possibly take on so many adults? They didn't dare to charge at the zombies, but they weren't afraid to gang up on a few teenagers. Seeing more and more people rallying to his side, Mr. Toji felt elated. His gaze swept over the three beautiful girls opposite him, and his heart stirred with excitement like an old tree suddenly blooming again. If that boy died, wouldn't these three women have no choice but to rely on him? Just as Mr. Toji's eyes curved into a satisfied smile, a cold glint flashed in Sosuke Kitahara's eyes. At the same time, Sosuke took a quiet step forward. Mr. Toji was briefly stunned. He hadn't expected Sosuke to walk toward him instead of running away. Had the boy lost his mind from fear? Didn't he see how many people Mr. Toji had on his side? Instinctively, Mr. Toji stepped backward. After all, brawling was a task for the others. But just as he moved, the figure before him suddenly vanished from sight. Wait, where'd he go? Mr. Toji's eyes widened in shock, like he'd seen a ghost. The boy had disappeared from his vision. What the hell? Squelch! A sharp, stabbing pain shot through Mr. Toji's ribs, rapidly spreading through his entire body. His movements froze, his torso involuntarily bending forward. "Ah! My waist!" Driven by sheer instinct, he let out a blood-curdling scream. The pain was so intense that his mind went completely blank. He couldn't even think. Sosuke Kitahara, having landed a precise strike, swiftly turned his body, his lungs filling with air as power surged to his legs. He kicked Mr. Toji hard in the chest. This time, there was no hesitation. His kick was as fierce as it was merciless. Boom! A muffled thud echoed as Mr. Toji's body flew through the air in a high arc. Crash! He slammed heavily to the ground. But Sosuke didn't stop. Moving like a shadow, he instantly appeared in front of Mr. Toji's crumpled body. Without pausing, he stomped on Mr. Toji's chest, gripped his katana, and drove it fiercely into the man's throat. He didn't need a razor-sharp blade. Even a simple toothbrush would have been enough to pierce his throat with Sosuke's precision. The entire sequence was so smooth and fast that no one else even had time to react. The once arrogant and overbearing Mr. Toji now lay limp on the floor, unmoving. A pool of dark red blood quickly spread from his neck, soaking into the carpet.